Hey guys, welcome back to Jessen Reads Romance. I'm Jessen, and today we're going to be talking about the books that I read for the historical romance Readathon that happened this past weekend. I'm so excited to be talking about these books. Guys, I had such an amazing time with my picks, and thank you so much to Jess from Peace Love Books, Lacey Book Lovers, and Remarkably Lisa for hosting this, because the bingo cards were just spot on, awesome, led me to some amazing books. Let's get right into it. The first book that I picked for the historical romance readathon was Castles, and this counted for purple on the cover. I mean, it's kind of purplish. It's kind of like indigo blue. So I counted it for that. This was also written before 2000. I believe it was written in 1990. I'm sorry, it was written in 96. And it's the fourth book in Julie Garwood's Castles Spies series. Not Castle Spies, Crown Spies. Yeah, that's it. I haven't read any books previously in this particular series, but I have been hitting the Julie Garwoods really hard ever since I discovered The Secret. So I was really excited to jump into Castles. It was recommended by a listener of the podcast as well, so I thought it would be perfect for the historical romance readathon. Castles is a marriage of convenience romance with the Princess Alessandra, who has pretty much grown up in a convent, but she has to marry in order to escape this war general who is after her and her money. And she is under the protection of her guardian, the Duke of Wellington. And he has a couple of sons. His youngest son, Colin, is very surly. He did work in the government as a spy. And I'm assuming in previous novels, they detail what exactly happened to him. I don't want to like spoil what's wrong, but he does walk with a limp. He has very bad pains in his leg. And he also has like this 5-year plan where his ships are going to be successful. His business with shipping and merchandising, I'm assuming, is going to be successful. So he has no time for marriage and a woman to basically just disrupt his whole life. His father has a lot of different plans for him, and he thinks Princess Alessandra is just perfect for him. And it also is a little bit convenient that the Duke and his eldest son, the Marquess, are both sick, so the only place that Alessandra can stay in London is with Colin in his townhouse. And I do have to mention the side character because he is hilarious. His name is Flanagan. He is the butler, and he is obsessed with Princess Alessandra. He loves her. He treats her with like so much deference, and he calls her like, you know, when he's speaking to Colin, he calls her our princess, and he's so enamored with her, and he thinks she's like the best thing ever, which kind of annoys and amuses Colin to no end. And the first night that Alessandra is there's no other rooms available, so Alessandra does take Colin's room, and they meet in the hallway. They knew each other as children, but he doesn't really remember her from childhood. I thought that would come back into play, but it really didn't. But Colin is kind of an asshole. He has no patience with Alessandra at all, and he thinks she's just like this doll, this simpering, you know, nothing's going on up in her head. Pretty much her brain's made of cotton wool. She doesn't really understand the world, and she is naive, but she's very smart. She's especially financially savvy. She actually meets with her father's solicitor, the person who handles her father's estate, and claims that she has an uncle that gives her pointers about like the stock market and what to invest in, and because she knows that he won't take the advice of a woman, because a woman couldn't possibly know anything about money or making money. So she has a pretend uncle that she claims has all this investing and money advice, which has been wonderful. So Colin, I was a little disappointed because he didn't figure this out sooner. I think that the way he viewed Alessandra was kind of constant and not in his favor for too long in the book. He underestimated her at every single turn, and he told her to be quiet a lot, like he knew best. But so Colin wasn't my favorite hero that Julie Garwood has created. I would say that she did Broody better with Ian in The Secret. He was amazing. So Colin was not my favorite hero. I still gave this book 4 stars. Because Princess Alessandra was amazing. I like the way that Julie Garwood writes her heroines. They have this sense of naivety. They're not really very worldly, but they're extremely smart and also good-natured. I just really enjoy her heroines a lot. And I was a little bit disappointed in Colin, but he didn't rub me the wrong way the whole time. Another thing I did note in this book is I thought that the dialogue was a little bit modern. I don't know what else to call it, but he kept calling her baby, and you rarely see that term of endearment in historical romances. It's more of a current endearment, and yeah, baby. He kept calling her baby when they were getting hot and heavy, and I kind of thought it was funny. So I did enjoy this romance, and I have a ton of other Julie Garwoods sitting on my bookshelf right now. I just got some in, and I will do an unboxing so that you can see all the beautiful covers. I'm so excited about them. The next book I read is My Darling Duke by Stacy Reid. This is the first book that I read by Stacy Reid, and I enjoyed it so much. This book did count for a book with a purple cover, an author of color, and also a new to me author, because I've never read anything by Stacy Reid before. Oh my goodness, this book was right up my alley. It is a Beauty and the Beast trope and also a fake relationship, but the way that this fake relationship starts is so just awesome, and I love the way that it played out. So there is this notorious Duke of Thornton. Nobody has seen him in society for years. There's rumored to be an accident. There was an accident, and he's rumored to be incredibly scarred. Nobody really knows what happens, and there's just rumors flying. There's been a lot of women who claim that they were, with him, and nothing ever really comes of it. So Kitty Danvers, her family has fallen on hard times, so she decides to basically pretend that she's the fiance of the Duke of Thornton in order to elevate her status in society and hopefully get her younger sisters great matches before they're kind of discovered, and she'll just cry off and be like, oh no, he jilted me. So it goes swimmingly for a while. It's announced in the gossip columns that Miss Kitty Danvers is engaged to the Duke of Thornton. Her sisters are getting lots of attention. She even gets a visit from some of his solicitors who are horrified to find that she's in this crumbling house and put her up in a townhouse. They do tell her that she has a line of credit open at all the modistes, and she doesn't want to spend any money because she wants to pay the Duke of Thornton back for renting out this townhouse on his dime, basically. I really like that element of it. She only really wanted to take advantage of his name and his status in society. She didn't want to, it never felt malicious the way that she was playing this game. So the Duke of Thornton is at his country estate, and he eventually does hear about this. Apparently you're engaged, I think from his aunt. And instead of being upset, he's very intrigued. He starts reading the gossip columnists, and he's very intrigued by this woman, Kitty Danvers. So he decides to go to London, and he meets her. And he does agree to play along with this charade because he's kind of experienced a little bit of ennui. He needs something to jolt him out of this almost depression that he's been in. He has had a reason to live because of his younger sister, but this kind of sparks a fire in him, and he is so interested to see what this girl is made of and what her motives are, and he wants to get to know her, and it's amazing. I love the way this plays out. He has been severely injured on his face, and he's also wheelchair bound. So we do have a disabled hero. It's so beautiful. It's so good. I love the way that these two fall in love. He's so helpless when he starts getting to know Kitty Danvers, and Kitty Danvers doesn't treat him like any other woman has treated him. He was engaged before he had the accident, and his fiance cried off after seeing him, and so of course he's been scarred that way. I love it. The way that this book ended was absolutely perfect, and you should all go read this book. I've bought a couple of Stacy Reids now because her writing's phenomenal. I love it. I cried during the book because it was just so beautiful. 5 stars, amazing. The next book was the group pick, and it is Lady Sophia's Lover. It is the second book in the Bow Street Runners series. I have not read this series before, even though I absolutely love Lisa Kleypas. Just haven't delved into all of her backlists yet, so I'm really happy that this was on the list as the group pick because it is so good. But did I expect anything less from Lisa Kleypas? No, I didn't at all. It's just chef's kiss. Our hero, Sir Ross Cannon, is the magistrate, and he runs Bow Street. He basically runs the whole thing by himself. He's basically a workaholic. He lives at Bow Street, like he never leaves. He needs a new secretary or administrator in his office, and this woman comes calling for the position, and he's like, there's no way, I need a man for this position. But she convinces him that she's perfect for the position. There's just something about her that intrigues him. She also does give him a little bit of background, how she's an orphan, she's the daughter of a viscount, and she basically has no more family. She's kind of been ruined, but that has not like put her down at all. So he does decide to give her a chance. Then we find out that Lady Sophia has her own motives for wanting to work for Sir Ross Cannon. She wants revenge against him for some unknown reason in the beginning of this book. So she ends up by living at Bow Street and working for him, and all the while she's going to collect evidence and basically try to undermine him. And also part of her plan is to seduce Sir Cannon so that he would fall in love with her, and then she could betray him and break his heart, because that's how she felt for whatever slight he caused her. I don't want to talk about it right now. I will talk about it in a little while, and I'll warn you for spoilers. Another thing you should know about Sir Ross is that he was married, but his wife did die, and he really truly loved her, and so he has no interest in getting married again. But of course that all changes whenever Lady Sophia is around. I love the way that they play against each other. Lady Sophia is like a breath of fresh air in Bow Street. She kind of takes on the wife's duties. She takes on the household. She shows the cook how to prepare meals better, and she befriends everybody. She's just like this light and airy presence, and everyone loves her. All the runners want to be around her, and Sir Ross starts getting very jealous and possessive and warning everybody away. And I love how his best friend's always looking at him, like side-eyeing him, being like, you want her, don't you? And he's adamant that he doesn't, which of course he does. So now I want to spoil it a little bit and talk about why Lady Sophia wants revenge against Sir Ross. So Lady Sophia had a younger brother who she was kind of responsible for once her parents died and they were with relatives. She was kind of stealing to keep them afloat, and he fell in bad ways as well. He was arrested, and Sir Ross was the magistrate that sentenced him to like hard labor on a ship, and he died. And so she is just devastated that she lost all of her family, and she blames Sir Ross because what he allegedly did was such a minor offense, and his punishment was so harsh, and it ended up by killing him. So she is just, I'm going to ruin your life as well. I don't want to spoil anything else, how that plays out and shakes out, but I absolutely love it. There's also this rival for Sir Ross, Nick, and there's so much going on in the background. I really don't want to spoil every single thing, but just know that I already bought the next book in the series because I have got to read it. I'm in love with this world, this series. Everything about it just speaks to me, and well done, Lisa Kleypas, 5 stars. Originally, I had planned on reading No Choice But Seduction by Joanna Lindsey so that it would count for the At Sea romance. Unfortunately, I am a mood reader, and I didn't feel like picking that one up because I had another one staring me in the face, and I wanted to read it. So I decided to read The Conqueror by Brenda Joyce, which doesn't count as At Sea at all. So I didn't get all my bingo cards, but I really did want to read this because it was a medieval romance, and I've been really craving those medieval historical romance. It's set during the time of like the Norman invasion, and I was just really interested to try out a historical romance during that time period, so I picked it up. This is my first read by Brenda Joyce. It is an older romance. It was written in 1990. Content warning, there is a lot of non-consensual intimate scenes going on, and it basically starts from chapter 1 and does not let up the whole entire book. I was prepared to deal with this. I normally go into these romances that were written in the 80s and 90s expecting there to be a little bit of some questionable consent. This is like completely, it's not consensual. It happens, and it happens more than once. So if you cannot read that, then do not read this book because it is blatant. So while I was bothered by it, I still was able to continue on and read because I was interested to see how this would play out. Our hero is Royce the Ruthless, I believe is his moniker. He is basically King William's like right-hand man. He's known for being like super fierce in battle, and he's awarded this estate. The sons of the estate are still alive. They're on the run. They betrayed the king. They swore fealty to him first, but then they joined a rebellion. So now Sir Royce gets to have this castle. He comes upon this girl who he later finds out from the villagers is the daughter and his intended. She's the sister of the lords of the estate that he's taking over. I feel like that's really complicated the way that I said that. But he is intended to marry Lady Alice, who is the daughter of the recently passed Earl and the sister of the current one who he's overthrowing. This is not the girl that he captures and almost rapes is actually not Lady Alice. It is her half-sister. She is the bastard child of the old Earl. Her name, I cannot pronounce it. I will put it right here, and you can tell me if you know how to pronounce this name. I don't want to butcher it. So I'm going to call her C. C is known throughout the area as this witch because she has this eye that kind of like moves this way. Her grandmother was a healer, and also her stepmother and also her half-sister, Lady Alice, pretty much perpetuated those rumors because they did not like her at all. They're extremely jealous of C. They resented the father for loving C and paying her so much attention, and also the brothers really love her and care for her. Lady Alice, her half-sister, is an absolute monster. I hated her. I hated the fact that she was so prominent throughout the entire book because she really was just evil. I hated her so much. Anyway, so Royce pretty much starts falling for this beguiling woman who's not really afraid of him, stands up to him, and she's loyal to her brothers. She doesn't want to submit to him. So whenever they do get to the estate, Lady Alice walks out and is like, that is C, and she's basically a servant. Her mother was like a dairymaid. So yeah, no. I'm gonna marry you, and I definitely want to marry you. So Lady Alice wants power, and she doesn't care that she's basically usurping her brothers, who this castle's rightfully theirs. I didn't really enjoy this book because they were at odds almost the entire time. I thought that we would definitely get to a point where she would be feeling a lot more conflicted with betraying Sir Royce's movements to her brothers, basically acting as a double agent. I thought she would be more conflicted at a certain point, but she's really loyal to her brothers until the very end, and it really didn't make for a great romance because I knew it was a romance, so I knew these two characters were going to get together, and every time he took a step forward towards being with her and putting aside his brutish barbarian ways, I was like, okay, meet him halfway. Are you feeling a little bit more loyal? You're getting to know his men. You know, they're not all bad. But it's like she never thought twice about betraying him. And then when she was faced with the consequences, like some of his men dying in this battle, who she had sent word to her brothers to warn them, then she finds out that all these men died. And it's like, it still really doesn't penetrate to her that she's trying to save her brothers, but in a way that's putting Royce, who she's falling for, in danger. So it really aggravated me, and I didn't want to love him either because he was a brute and a bore. And even as he was falling for her, he took her by force their first time, like completely. And like, this is past the point where he was starting to have feelings with her. And when she would defy him, he would be very lenient in his punishments. So we've already started building towards this, oh, he's getting softer and softer towards her. So when he decides to take his rights as, you know, the overlord, he gets to sleep with his vassal's woman on the first night. I don't know what they called it in this book, but I remember from Braveheart, it's like prima nocta. Basically, he claims that right to be able to sleep with her. and it's not pleasant. And then right after like the first time that he forces himself on her, then they do it again, but she's like completely fine with it. So like, I was just, it just wasn't the best. But once you get past that and they actually do start falling for each other, I was like, okay, so now we're gonna get to like the conflict where she kind of should become a peacemaker between her brothers and her new husband, not her husband, her lover. That's not how it plays out. And the very ending, she ends up by like escaping because he's like really mad at her for lots of reasons. She betrays him a lot, and she decides to like escape even though she loves him, but like it only takes a couple pages for it to skip like 6 months and him like going find her. So I was not very satisfied with this book at all. I kind of want to give it a 2-star, might give it 3. I don't know how to rate this book. I might give it a 2-star. It was really aggravating. It didn't feel like a romance. I was just waiting for us to get past that point, and I felt like we never did. And the epilogue was not satisfying. I did not feel satisfied at the end of this book, which is why I'm considering giving it a 2-star. Even though I was like really compelled to see what would happen next, it just didn't hit me in the right spot at all. So yeah, maybe I should have read No Choice But Seduction, but can't help it as a mood reader. You just kind of gotta go with the flow and pick the book that catches your eye. So guys, that's it for the books that I read for the Historical Romance Readathon. I will be linking the video down below in the description box. Also, let me know if you participated in the Historical Romance Readathon and what you read. Did you love your reads, or did you read any of the books that I read? What did you think about them? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's completely free, and you'll be notified on any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with a little HEA. Bye guys!